The NBA is officially 1 week into its 2023-2024 season, and one thing that's evident, especially on social media, is that it's never too early to start thinking about end-of-season awards. So today, we're going to go through the standout players from this season and figure out which players deserve the major awards through 1 week of games. We're going to start with one of the less fun awards, Clutch Player of the Year, and to me, it's a three-man race between De'Aaron Fox, Donovan Mitchell, and Luka Doncic. All three of these guys have averaged over 12 points a game in the fourth quarter, and each have carried their team to a win in a two-possession game. But to me, one of these guys stands out above the rest. Luka Doncic has been ridiculous in the fourth quarter, shooting 73% from the field and 71% from three, and those stats are just from 8 minutes per fourth quarter. The Mavericks have been in close games in spite of Luka's stellar performance, and even when it looks like the Mavericks are going to lose, Luka hits the clutch three, or in the case of the Mavs game against the Nets a couple of days ago, 4 straight clutch threes to get the win. For many of these awards, my pick in the first week won't be the same as my pick for the actual award, but Luka is so incredible in the clutch that I wouldn't be shocked if he remains the most clutch player of the year. Next, let's look at Sixth Man of the Year, which to me has 3 clear finalists. Cole Anthony, a guard averaging 15 a game, Kelly Oubre, a forward averaging 19 a game, and Naz Reid, a center averaging 17.5 a game. Now the reason why I bring up each of their positions is because Sixth Man of the Year is traditionally an award reserved for high-scoring guards, think Lou Williams or Jamal Crawford. But so far through this season, the 3 best players coming off the bench each play a different position, yet a similar role. All 3 guys are spark plugs, guys who can come in when their team's stars need a rest and take over the load scoring-wise. And as much credit as I give to Naz Reid and Kelly Oubre, 2 guys whose role was unclear before the season, Cole Anthony is my first week Sixth Man of the Year. The Orlando Magic have played solid ball 1 week into the season, and that's mostly due to Anthony's play. We all knew this Magic starting lineup was good, with young pieces and players willing to sacrifice shots and opportunities for victories. What I was concerned about with this team before the season was their bench. But Anthony is really taking a step and leading the bench unit, averaging the second most points on the team. While the Magic have been slipping down in the rankings, if Anthony can keep up this play, they should be right in the middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference. Now on to the fun awards. The Rookie of the Year award race was a consensus coming into the year, as Victor Wembanyama was the clear favorite. But a week into the season, I think it's clear that Chet Holmgren is the best rookie in the NBA. Holmgren is averaging about 15 a game on 57% shooting from the field and 55% shooting from 3. He's exactly what the Thunder wanted when they drafted him, a stretch 5 who can protect the paint and defend the elite big men in the league. And while sitting him out the entirety of last season wasn't ideal, it turned out to be a blessing in disguise, as that 15 to 20 pounds of muscle he added so far has been crucial towards his success. And while Victor Wembanyama isn't my choice for Rookie of the Year, it's clear that he has one of the largest impacts on a game we have ever seen. We've seen stars like Kyrie Irving have to adjust their shots solely because Wembanyama has a ridiculous wingspan. And on the offensive side of the ball, while the shooting splits aren't really there yet, his shot creating ability is elite and he can shoot from anywhere on the court. Once Wembanyama can find his stride, he's going to be almost unstoppable. Those 2 are the runaway candidates for Rookie of the Year, but I want to show some love to Ausar Thompson and Brandon Miller, both of whom have been lights out. For Ausar, the shooting splits aren't there yet, and I'd like to see him settle for easier shots before trying to incorporate the hard shots in his arsenal. But what I love about Ausar the most is his effort. Just looking at the base stats will show you how much Ausar wants to win, because there's no way a 6'7" forward should be getting 11 rebounds and 3 blocks a night. But he is, and he's been one of the brightest spots on a Pistons team that's been overachieving. As for Miller, he's looked much more NBA ready than I expected. Coming out of college, his turnaround run scared me, and I'll admit I wasn't too high on Miller, but he's looked calm and composed coming off the bench, and he should be starting soon, because he's going to be one of the pieces that the Hornets need to build around. I'm curious how this Rookie of the Year race ends up, but for now, I have Chet Holmgren as the best rookie in the league. One of the more interesting award races so far is for Most Improved Player, an award that's recently been going to high overall picks who took an all-star jump. But this award is the most obvious of them all, because Cam Thomas has been absolutely lighting it up through the first week. We all know how dangerous a scorer Cam Thomas is, because in each of the last 2 seasons, There was a 3-game stretch where every player in Brooklyn was injured, so they were forced to give the keys of the offense to Thomas. And in that stretch, he didn't disappoint, putting up 40 a game and proving he deserves at least a little bit of playing time. But the Nets only now decided to pull the trigger on the Cam Thomas experience, and he hasn't disappointed, averaging 33 points a game on 63% shooting. And while sometimes Thomas does a little too much on offense, his overall impact on that side of the ball is the main reason the Nets got their only win of the season. And while this award seems like a runaway, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Tyrese Maxey and Julian as two guys who deserve to be in the MIP conversation. Maxey has taken a huge leap as the second option of the Sixers, averaging 30 points and 6 assists a game as a primary ball handler. And Duren is consistently putting up 15 points and 15 boards a night while showing an improved offensive game. The obvious and right choice for a most improved player is Cam Thomas, but we'll see if he can continue on this pace for the rest of the season. Now on to Defensive Player of the Year, an award very hard to crown when you only have 3 to 4 games to analyze. Now, Defensive Player of the Year is traditionally given to a big man, but that streak was broken 2 years ago when Marcus Smart won the award. And 1 week into the season, I'm going to break the big man streak again, because OG Anunoby is the best perimeter defender in the league. While the Raptors as a whole are underperforming, Anunoby has carried this defense to one of the 5 best in the league while locking down the opposing team's best player. When guarding Anthony Edwards, Anunoby held him to 1 of 10 shooting. When guarding DeMar DeRozan, Anunoby held him to 1 of 7 shooting. And through the first week of the season, Anunoby has only allowed 8 made field goals on 35 shot attempts. Not only that, but Anunoby leads all active starters in individual defensive rating at 86.2 and in defensive win shares at 0.302. Outside of Anunoby, 2 guys who have really impressed me defensively are 2 former Defensive Players of the Year, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Rudy Gobert. While the foul trouble is always a concern for Jaren, his shot blocking and rim protecting abilities are still elite. What would hold me back from crowning Jaren as DPOY is that his team's defense is only average despite his stellar play, and unfortunately team defensive stats are an important aspect of how we crown DPOY. As for Rudy Gobert, he's somewhat beating the washed allegations, at least defensively. Gobert is leading the Timberwolves to one of the 10 best defenses in the league while providing 2 blocks a game. If the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year voting wasn't so favored towards big men, the clear answer for first week DPOY is OG Anunoby. And finally, let's talk about the most prestigious award in all of basketball, the NBA MVP. There's only 2 options for me so far through the season, and that's Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic. Luka has come for revenge after last season's disappointing finish, and so far, he's the only reason the Mavericks are undefeated. Doncic currently ranks 1st in points per game at 37, 3rd in assists per game at 9.7, and 8th in rebounds at 11.7 a game. Now this is a Luka we've desperately been waiting to see. He finally looks motivated and in shape to start the season. If he can keep up this pace, maybe not stats-wise, but more so playing style-wise, he's going to be a shoo-in for MVP. But if Luka can't keep up this pace, the choice for MVP will be Nikola Jokic. Many people came into the season saying that Jokic was robbed of the MVP last season, and while I don't necessarily agree with that take, Jokic has come out strong to start the season, averaging almost 27 a game with about 12 rebounds and 9 assists a game. His ability to control the offense and torment the opposing team's defense is unmatched, because even in a possession when he doesn't touch the ball, he attracts so much attention because when he does get the ball, he can attack you at every point. Both of these guys have been lights out to start the season, and I wouldn't be mad if you said one or the other was your MVP. But Luka has carried the Mavericks to a perfect record, kept them in close games with clutch shots, and has looked, in my opinion, like the best player in the NBA through 1 week. But what do you think? Comment below your first week MVP, and make sure to subscribe for more NBA videos just like this one. I'm Julian with TalkBackSports, and I'll see you next time.